सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Our new mission is to make our episodes of Clutter shorter. Not short, but shorter than they usually are. Now, who doesn't like the sound of his own voice? So, if this means self-denial, I'd rather inflict some cruelty on myself than continue to do so on all of you, because you have to then endure really long episodes of Clutter. Not that you are complaining, but I know that your time is valuable. So, today is our first effort, and tell me if it works or not. So today we are talking about what's happened with Popular Front of India, PFI. The ban took place. I know that yesterday there were lots of responses from many of you saying that how come no episode on PFI? Because we didn't do it yesterday because this was still an ongoing story, and a lot of the clarity was yet to emerge. Now that we have that, we can talk about it. Now, the most important thing about this ban is that this is perhaps the only ban in the history of India in a very long time, at least in my memory, on which everybody agrees. Everybody agrees to the extent that these were bad guys. Some people might say, but ban is not an answer, but nobody is saying that PFI were a democratic group. They did not deserve to be banned, or they did not deserve any action to be taken against them. That's a rarity in Indian politics, when everybody dislikes you and disagrees with you. And I will not read out the statements. Statements will run on my screen, statements and some tweets, but I will just tell you the list and some highlights of what various people have said. So the left, usually you would think that the left secular goes together, left dash secular goes together, and this is Kerala where the left rules. So we would look for a reaction from the left. I'm not looking at reactions from BJP, Shiv Sena, etc., because we know they are on the other side of the communal polarization. In any case, they are in the government, so they have to have a particular point of view. But look at the left. The left has said that PFI is not a good organization, it's a bad organization. In fact, Sitaram Yechury, General Secretary of the CPM, also said that PFI and RSS have been indulging in retaliatory killings or tit-for-tat assassinations in Kerala and coastal Karnataka. So they are bad guys, but then he goes on to say a ban is not a solution to tackle a problem. We've seen what our and India's experience has been. RSS was banned 3 times after Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. Has anything stopped? But for the left, again, not to instinctively go and defend a political group which is seen as a victim of Modi government right now, or to even see it as a victim, I should correct myself, or even to see it as a victim of Modi government right now, is a big change. That means how much support for PFI? Zero. Then see the Congress. Congress opposes everything that the BJP does. Also in Kerala, Congress is at odds with the BJP. Of course, it's at odds with the BJP everywhere, but with the left as well, because it's the left front that's in power and its main challenger is the Congress. BJP doesn't count for anything in Kerala. In Karnataka, where also PFI is very strong, Congress matters, but Congress's statement. Congress, instead of the default instinctive thing of BJP government, high-handedness, using undemocratic methods, etc. Rahul Gandhi himself has said, and I saw that video, where he said all communalism is bad. So communalism, whether communal politics, whether done by this side or that side, is equally bad, and both should be prevented or fought. Now, Jairam Ramesh, who's emerged as a kind of key spokesperson of the Congress party, he's also said all communalism is bad and should be fought. He also tweeted, and in the tweet he said, and you will see the tweet on my screen, he said, we are against all kinds of communalism, and all kinds of communalism must be fought without any fear or compromise. Then you look at some of the others. The most interesting, in fact, in my view, by far the most interesting, Indian Union Muslim League. So what would you expect normally from IUML? You would expect that they will now rise to the defense of a fellow Islamic organization. They've said, on the other hand, IUML senior leader MK Munir, he has said that PFI is a radical outfit. It has misinterpreted the Quran and persuaded Muslims to adopt the path of violence. That's a big change. And other IUML leaders, Indian Union Muslim League leaders, have also called PFI a fascist party. Then we go ahead, Lalu Yadav. Remember the MY vote, Muslim Yadav vote, and once again, one of the standard bearers of secularism and generally sympathetic to Muslims, Muslim forces. He said like PFI, he says, he doesn't say ban on PFI is a bad thing, but he says like PFI, ban all such organizations that are spreading hatred. And then he says RSS is much worse. That's why it was first banned by Sardar Patel. Then Asaduddin Owaisi, AIMIM, again you would have thought that instinctively he would say that this is something terrible being done to PFI. So he does not defend PFI. He says, while I have always opposed the approach of PFI, right? So he's also against PFI and suggested a democratic approach. This ban on PFI cannot be supported. Draconian bans of this kind are dangerous. At this way, no Muslim will be able to open his mouth. They will put PFI pamphlets on any Muslims and arrest them. So he makes a different point, but at the same time, he says that he has problems with PFI. Now, what exactly is PFI that everybody has problems with it? That even the worst critics of Modi government, even the worst critics of BJP, and even the strongest standard bearers, not just of secular politics, but also of minority politics and minority groups and minority parties, are also troubled by this. Trouble lies in the origins of PFI. Because you know what happens? Sometimes when you ban an organization or when an organization acquires a really bad name, it goes underground for some time, and over time, inevitably, this happens with everybody. This has happened with many undemocratic and violent organizations. Say Lashkar-e-Taiba, for example. Anytime you ban it comes up as something else. So it has many avatars, one after the other, Jamaatud this, Jamaatud that. It keeps coming up. Similarly, many organizations, this also applies to organizations that might be genuinely freedom-fighting, liberationist organizations in lands which are under occupation. So this is in the nature of such organizations to morph and become something else. So originally in India, in 1977, an organization called SIMI was formed. Now, how SIMI got formed and how it survived for as long as it did is a mystery. And its agenda was the liberation of India by converting it into an Islamic land. So they wanted to convert all Indians to Islam, and they thought that was the way forward. Convert all Indians to Islam, make it Darul Islam, and then everything will be all right. And they did not particularly want to do it with democratic means. They were open to using violence. 1977, they were banned only in 2001 by Vajpayee government, just after 9/11 attacks. Now, why Vajpayee government took that long, again, is a question that's worth asking. But the fact is that before that, you can say they were so-called secular governments, but even Vajpayee government for 2 years had not bothered. 2001, after 9/11, they got banned, and they've remained banned since then. That ban was lifted by the tribunal which reviews these things in 2008, but then government went to Supreme Court and KG Balakrishnan, Chief Justice of India, his court once again upheld or restored the ban. So SIMI has remained banned since then. Now, intelligence agencies, security agencies, critics of PFI, they all say PFI is nothing but a renamed SIMI. SIMI has come back in the form of PFI. And PFI now, either PFI or all the other proliferations and subsidiaries and branches that it has, none of them uses the word Muslim or Islamic anywhere. Some say dignity, some say development, some say democratic, etc., etc. Campus Front of India, for example, the student wing, SDPI, which is the political party, that is Social Democratic Party of India. No mention of Islam, Muslim, anything. So in the new avatar, they have been very careful not to use any suggestion of being Islamic or Muslim, but the reality is that that's precisely what they are. It was founded by Professor Muhammad Ahmadullah Siddiqui, who was an Aligarh Muslim University professor of English. He later went on to America and is now a professor at University at West Illinois, or has been a professor and professor of journalism. And I see some quotes from him in international media, where he says that, look, the SIMI that got banned in 2001 is not the SIMI I founded. That SIMI had by that time become something else. Obviously expresses disapproval of that. But you can see that out of Chicago also, a lot of the activism that carries on, of which he is a part, is on the radical side. Obviously, they are not openly advocating any violence. I have to say that in fairness. But it is on the radical side. So the leaders of PFI, you will see the list run on my screen, and some pictures are available. That's a list of 11. But the key people are P. Koya. In fact, it's been a challenge to find his full name. So Amog Rometra, my young colleague, he's been able to carry out a deep search and get his full name, the first name. So Palaparathu Koya, National General Secretary plus National Executive Council member of PFI. He's among the founders of PFI. Now we have moved on from SIMI to PFI. And many of these people were formerly in SIMI. So they were in SIMI. They went asleep for some time. Then in 2006 came up PFI. So many of these people, now of course they say, oh, SIMI was different. PFI is not SIMI. We don't follow the same views we don't follow the same ideology that SIMI had. Second, former chairman E. Abu Bakr, he's also one of the founders. And also E.M. Abdul Rahman, R-A-H-I-M-A-N, E.M. Abdul Rahman, who's the current vice chairman. They were founders of a group called National Development Front in 1992. There are other names also, O.M.A. Salam, for example, who's currently the chairman of PFI, Anis Ahmad, who's currently the National General Secretary of PFI, Afsar Pasha, who's now National Secretary of PFI. I told you earlier that PFI came into being in 2006. That's when 3 different groups came together. That is National Development Front in Kerala, Karnataka Forum for Dignity, KFD in Karnataka, and Manitha Nithi Parasai, that's in Tamil Nadu. Now you can see all 3 names have no mention of Muslim or Islamic, but all 3 organizations were founded by former members of SIMI. These 3 then combined in 2006 to launch PFI. And then PFI, if you read on ahead, I will share 2 articles with you. One is a long article and a very detailed article that quite some time back, several months back, my brilliant young colleagues Anusha Ravi and Ananya Bhardwaj had done on PFI. In fact, Anusha then had traveled in coastal Karnataka and in Kerala. So that was a ground report. And remember, when you want really stories from the ground, flavor of the ground, evidence, facts from the ground, all checked out, come to ThePrint. And it only happens because of the subscriptions you take with us. So read that story, read another explainer on what PFI is by Ananya Bhardwaj, who's one of our young editors in charge of internal security, crime, and she covers all the key agencies. You will see her picture on my screen, although I know you are familiar with her and her voice because she's been featuring on some of our videos as well. So all the people I mentioned and all the people whose pictures you see on the screen have now been arrested, by the way, after the raids on PFI. Now, PFI people also have their version and their arguments, and I will mention some to you. So Anis Ahmad and OMA Salam, who are currently the office bearers of the banned PFI and they are under arrest, they say that, look, you can't say that NDF was formed to escape the ban on SIMI, because they say that NDF, the founding of the NDF was in 1993, which is almost a decade before SIMI was banned. Now, the police and the intelligence people on the other hand say that's a sham. This was just a namka vaste group, like you register a group or a society or something. And these are kept as cutouts to be used as and when needed. So this is actually nothing but SIMI. Koya, P. Koya, whose name I mentioned, among the key founders of PFI, he says that, look, SIMI said Islam is the only solution for India. We now believe in Indian plurality. We believe that India is a plural nation. So to that extent, he says that he has changed. OMA Salam, by the way, was a software engineer. And if you see all these people, all these leaders, founders and leaders of PFI are very well educated people. This is not some root causes. This does not conform to some root causes theory of poverty and deprivation leading people into radicalism. These are all well-to-do, very well educated people who've got into it. And then for some time, kind of a spiral of violence started in coastal Kerala and coastal Karnataka, because that's where the Muslim population is also higher. In Karnataka, the Muslim population, the percentage of Muslim population may be about 13.5%. We only have the 2011 census for a reference. In Kerala, it's about twice as much, but a lot of it is in the coastal areas. And that's where a lot of violence started, particularly in Karnataka. So most of this violence as it started was over interfaith relationships, interfaith marriages, etc., etc. Now, if this was going on, and after the so-called DJ Halli riots in Bangalore, where 47 PFI people were charged with serious criminal sections, then there were other incidents. There was, for example, the Coimbatore bomb blast. There was also the Narath weapons seizure. So Narath is a place in Karnataka where in 2013 a camp was raided and where a lot of firearms and other weapons, crude bombs were seized. It was a PFI camp. PFI said they were just holding a yoga camp. But the fact is that people were arrested and finally 21 of them were convicted for illegal arms, possession of illegal arms, conspiracy and terrorism linked charges. And yet the mystery is that PFI wasn't banned all this while. And that's what brings us to the concluding section of this episode of CTC. So the last questions. We told you, first of all, that nobody in the entire political structure has risen to PFI's defense as an organization. But second, if that was the case, why was it not banned all this while? And why has it been banned right now? So simply, it wasn't banned all this while. You can only speculate. But educated speculation is that its existence and growth and the kind of trouble it caused and the kind of concern it caused among the minority community, that's the Hindus, that suited the BJP politics because they wanted polarization in Karnataka. It suited them beautifully and they rode this polarization very well. And that's the reason in coastal Karnataka, BJP has completely demolished the Congress party because coastal Karnataka is fully polarized. In Kerala, it was a bit different. In Kerala, the BJP doesn't exist. But in Kerala, it is the Congress party-led alliance, which is UDF, that began to get worried about PFI's rise because they thought that PFI will take away some of the Muslim vote from them because PFI also had a political wing, that is SDPI. It suited the BJP if that was happening because if UDF loses some of the Muslim vote and the more the PFI was creating concern in the minds of other faiths in Kerala. Kerala is a peculiar demographic with a large Muslim minority and a large Christian minority. So while the Hindus were getting worried, Christians also began to get worried about rising radicalism among the Muslims, and that's why Christians also in Kerala, at least a bunch of the Christian clerics in Kerala began talking about love jihad. That suited the BJP because this way they could draw the Christians away from the UDF, that is Congress-led alliance, and PFI would draw some of the Muslims away also from the UDF. So Christians might align with the BJP, and in any case, this will weaken the UDF. So it leads us to the final question, that if it wasn't banned all this while because it suited BJP's politics, why has it been banned now? So the only thing I can say is, and that is something I learned from our reporters who've been on the field and who've been talking to intelligence agencies, law enforcement agencies, the police, they say that now the organization becomes so powerful and had got so deeply rooted and was now building pockets of influence in other parts of the country, that it seemed that the organization had now acquired the heft to actually create some major incidents in various parts of the country. And that's why politics had to be forgotten for now, and this action needed to be taken.